All right. Hey, everybody. It is Monday, March 5th, and I'm glad you joined us tonight in our new coaches, Opt for Change coaches, and our group. So thanks to Zena for coming up with our team name. And I think it really, really represents us well. So thank you for that. And tonight, what I thought we'd do is really just, we spend so much time on procedural things. How do you do this? Do this, do this, do this, and about action steps. But very much behind those action steps and what might be driving our outcome is more about what's going on up here in our head. And if you watch Dr. A's call, they were just, did a really, really great job about talking about structural tension, having clarity of what it is we want, and that will help drive our actions on our results. And they also talked about the really focusing on the process versus outcomes, that can trip us up. And so I thought we'd spend some time because we're all here, and you guys are taking time out of your Monday night because we want to grow our businesses. So it makes sense, like we do with everything in Optavia, to pay attention to and learn from those that are growing businesses and doing so successfully. It's not that they have any special. We all ordered the same health coach kit. We all have the same exact opportunity in front of us. The difference lies in the way we're approaching our business and our consistent actions and the way we manage disappointments. So somebody who has a bigger business, all it means is that they probably talked to more people, gotten a lot more no's, had a lot more disappointments along the way. So I thought we'd have a conversation with Meg, and most of you guys know Meg Johnson. Meg joined our team last summer and has really, really done a beautiful job mastering the skill of acquiring clients, embracing the philosophy that makes most sense of the blended path and really developing a team of coaches in order to really represent our full trilogy. And these are all skills that it took for her to learn and to learn in a really short amount of time. So Meg, if you would just unmute yourself. And we do have a lot of newer coaches on our team, or maybe some people who aren't familiar with your story. So maybe you can give us the backstory about how did you come to Optavia, your initial reaction to coaching, how you started out versus where you are now with your mindset.
One thing I told Dee earlier, so when she sent me this text yesterday about wanting to do this call tonight, I actually laughed out loud because right now I'm handling a lot of disappointment and kind of frustration in my business. So it's kind of ironic that we're talking about this tonight. So just wanted to lead with that. I'm going to be really real and vulnerable with you all and kind of let you know what's going on in my world. But yeah, kind of my story with Optavia. I talked to Dee for the first time in December of 2016, and then I ignored her for approximately 6 months. And Dee all the while was sending me before and afters through private messenger, which I didn't ever respond to. I always ignored her. But she was so faithful in not giving up on me. And I'm just telling you, like, I have chills. Like, I'm so thankful now to be where I am that she didn't give up on me in my story. So I wasn't ready until I was ready. And that happened to be about, I started in May on my health journey. I went on to lose 30 pounds in about 10 weeks. And it just lit my world on fire. I had all this energy for my family. I was a different person. And then she started talking to me about coaching, and guys, I was allergic to the idea of coaching. She would bring it up and I'd be like, that's great, Dee, but that's not for me. But then she was faithful again, always bringing it up. And eventually, like, I really caught the vision of what it could do and what it could do for other people, like it did for me. And I jumped in and I was afraid, and she did it with me, and we decided I was just going to do it scared. And somehow, my husband all along was like, okay, you can do this, but like, please break even on your business. And guys, I broke even in like 24 to 48 hours. And so we think back on that and like what that meant for us. Then we were struggling financially. Going on program was a big deal for me at the time. And our program is not expensive, but that just goes to show kind of where we were from a financial perspective. I almost took a job making $8 an hour, working in the children's center of a gym, which is so funny to look back on and see where we are now. So Optavia has rocked my world. Really listening to Dee and trying to follow and figure out my own path with this. Made executive director in about 5 weeks, and have just met some of my greatest friends through this program, and just really have loved helping other people not only build businesses, but get healthy. So it's kind of come full circle, and it's been a lot of fun. But I also feel really new because I've only been doing this for about 7 months. So also want to put that out there.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because like I said, I think I remember saying to you at one point, are you willing to just get messy? You know, if you're okay with just getting messy, and you know, I'll get messy with you and we'll get to the other side, but we're going to have to go through a season of chaos to get there. I'm pretty sure we had that conversation, didn't we? Have you had some chaos along the way?
It's been a lot of chaos.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that, Meg? Because, you know, you had made this decision to be home with your family, you know, to be home with your kids, and then suddenly now you've got, you know, a business that you're running around their schedule. But I'm sure that sometimes has that entailed, like, sometimes making decisions that you normally didn't want to make, and how are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my goals with Optavia have changed significantly since I first started. So really my husband's goal for me was to break even, right? And my goal for myself was, I thought it'd be cool to serve 5 people. And now I'm serving close to about 60 people. And so obviously the time that I'm needing to spend on the business has changed tremendously from when you just want to serve 5 people to when you're serving a lot more than that, right? So yeah, there have been situations where, you know, that tension that Dr. A talked about on that call, I've had to handle that tension and make, you know, harder choices. Like, where am I going to go? And, you know, sometimes, like on Sunday night, my family was hanging out and I was walking up and down the driveway on a share call with somebody who wanted to get healthy. And so that wasn't necessarily a convenient time for me to be having that conversation with them, but I was excited to do it for what it could mean for them. So I have had to make choices like that along the way. But I feel like you definitely, I mean, we are compensated well for doing well, right? And so one of the things I've been thinking about, and as I bring on new coaches and talk to new coaches, it's like, you know, we get out what we put in. So if you put in the effort to make $50 a week, you're gonna get that in return. So, but if you really want to go far, and what I've seen with Optavia, even in 7 months, is you can make whatever you want out of this business. Like, you have so much possibility. I really believe that. And so if you want it, like, you can get it, but you're going to have to put in the time. I'm going to have to put in the time and the effort to match that. So that's been something, honestly, like, I've had to grow into as my goals have grown and as my business has grown, and something I'm just learning how to do as I go.
I was just trying to do the math. Yeah, I was just trying to do the math of when you said that you were going to take an $8 an hour job. I was just trying to do an analogy in my head, because I think that's really good what you said. If you want to make $500, well, we've got to do at least $500 worth of work. We want to make $2,000, you know. So let's just say, hypothetically, if somebody wants to become an executive director and make $2,000 or $3,000 a month, we do get paid pretty well per hour at that rate. But it would still, if you got a job somewhere, you got to kind of do the math to see how many hours would you be putting in somewhere. We're blessed with this because we can do the hours when we want. We don't have to commute to that job. We don't have to listen to their schedule of when we have to work. We can figure it out, but at the end of the day, we still have to do the work, right? And I often see that that's sometimes where the disconnect is that there's sometimes maybe not the same consistency at the level that Meg has done. So Meg, can you share with us a few of the, you know, what are the non-negotiables, like in terms of consistency of what you do with your business, no matter what, on a daily and weekly basis?
Yeah. Well, number one, the most important thing to me with my business is talking to you every week, Dee. Getting with my business coach, no matter what happens, how busy I am, how many people I'm onboarding, that takes priority number one for me. And realized again how important it was this morning, because you challenged me and pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And I need that, especially as an entrepreneur. There's nobody telling you what to do. And so if you have somebody who's willing to mentor you for free, like, you need to take advantage of that opportunity. So that's the most important thing. And I love that part of Optavia, that we have those built-in business mentors. So that's number one, non-negotiable. The other thing that I make sure I do is I talk to every client every week. So I am calling them. I don't text them. If they don't answer the phone and they will try to respond via text, that's fine, but I'll call them again next week. I always try to initiate that, because I get nuggets from them via telephone that I will never get via text message, and really get a piece of what's going on in their world. Another thing is I talk to all of my clients about referrals, and what to say to people that are asking about them. And I also do a referral credit. Like, I give them money for that. So that's been a great thing for my business. Another thing, yeah, I think those are the key things that keep me going. Just making sure I'm talking to my clients, making sure they know what to say when people ask them. And then the last thing is bringing on coaches. I talk to a lot of my clients about coaches, because I really see it as a gift. Just like I see, you gave me the example, Dee, about that we are airline stewardesses, like walking down the plane asking, do you want to drink? Do you want to drink? And then, like, I see that with our health, like, but I also see that with health coaching. Like, I see what it has done in my world and to my family, and my husband is experiencing financial freedom that really he's only dreamed of. And it's because you were bold over and over and over again, even when I was allergic to it. So now I tell people about coaching really with boldness, because I know what it can do for their families, because I know what it's done to mine and what it's done for my own health. So that's been a big thing to do consistently too, that I've been working on.
And that was a big shift for you. Even though I would say, relatively speaking, I mean, 7 months into it, that you're now an integrated executive director, which you've done for several months, which is a beautiful thing. But even those first few months, you were building by clients only. And I remember having a conversation around it, and you're like, no, I'm good with this. And we talked about how not sharing the full trilogy wasn't really even fair, to two people, not to even give them a chance for this opportunity. But we also talked about why you would want to do it for the stability of your business, and that's how you actually grow beyond those levels. But that wasn't easy. That's not like a skill that you can just say, okay, well, now I'm really great at talking about health coaching. So did you stumble a little bit with that at the beginning? And then what did that feel like, and how did you work through that?
Yes, I stumbled a lot. I still stumble a lot. I am failing left and right, but I'm failing with a purpose. And every time I fail, I want to make it count, and I try to learn from it. I had my first celebration call a couple of weeks ago, and I blew it, y'all. I blew it. If my coach is on the line that I was talking to, she'll agree. But like, we learned from it, and I had another one today, and it was incredible. So it's like, like we are going to fail. Like, we learn by trial and error sometimes, and that's okay. If you lead from your heart and you try to learn from it, that's really where you can find that success. So yeah, I really hate to fail. That's like one of the things about me that you and I, Dee, were working on today, because it's a concept that I struggle with. But if I do fail, I want to make it count, and I want to get better. But yeah, so I have struggled. I think the sponsoring boot camp has been awesome. We've had a couple over the last 7 months, but other people telling us how to have those conversations and pulling nuggets from them has been good. And when I became a coach, I was scared to death, and I decided to do it scared. And so when I had my first conversation with a coach, I did it scared. And even now, now it's becoming less scary, because I'm practicing that muscle of just like offering it out. And I'm watching coaches left and right be successful. Last month, I had 7 senior coaches that have great businesses that are providing for their families, in this cool way. And so I know it can work, and I know it can bless somebody's family like it's blessed mine. And I think that confidence, like knowing that, okay, not only does Optavia work, but coaching works. And if I can listen, I don't even brush my teeth half the time. Like, I'm on the struggle bus 100%, and so if I can do it, you can do it. Any of us can do it. Like, it's possible. And so I think just trying to get out of my comfort zone and try to get better and do things scared has not been easy, but I've seen the results.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And if you watch Dr. A's call before this, they were actually talking about offering the trilogy, and Nancy Strauss was talking about that, we have to be careful because with what we do, we posture so much with before and after pictures on social media. And if we're really only talking with that and leading about weight loss, well, that's what people's concept and is that what we are is just a weight loss company, but we know we're truly well-being. And so Charlene Green gave a really good example that even from the get-go in her first presentation with somebody, when she describes Optavia, she'll say, we help in the 3 areas. We help with physical health, but also help with people, providing the time that they want in their life, and also helping, in the area of finances so that they have the freedom and that they want. Which one of those would you like to talk about? And that, just really getting confident with that, and even with your own success with it as a coach, whether you've been coaching one day or a couple of years, just really getting comfortable starting to talk about that. But that was a big shift. And I want people to realize that with Meg, that I remember even asking you, you had started to talk to somebody and you actually said to me, I don't think that's really going to be for me. I don't think I'm very good at it. And we talked about how the obstacle is the way. I hope it's okay that I'm sharing this, but we talked about the obstacle is the way. Like if that is something that's hard, all that's doing is just revealing that is where the need is in your business. Like that's where the energy needs to go. And that what makes or breaks us as entrepreneurs is when we hit that tough spot. Do we lean into it and just and say, okay, I'm going to need some help with this, and use your mentorship and some experience to work through it? Where the natural reactions, we're humans, we don't like hard stuff. The brain wants the comfort. It's so similar to what our clients do when it gets hard. We just tend to avoid it and say, well, I'm really good at this, and we stay in that action mode again around what's most comfortable to us. So thank you, Meg, for modeling that it's not really easy, but it's worth it, obviously, to work through that. And does everybody you talk to say yes to the program?
No, absolutely not. And I think the more that people say no, and the more you do it, the less that no stings. Although I do still have people that haunt me a little bit because I know what Optavia could do for them and I want it for them. But yeah, I have some coaches right now that aren't coaches that I know would be incredible coaches, and it would do great things for them and their no's right now. And so trying to think of the no is the not now, and letting them be ready just because I told you no for 6 months and then however long. So we got to be ready when it's the right time for them.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely, I get no's all the time. And I think the more no's that I get, the less I take it personally, and the more it gets easier, but it happens all the time.
Yeah, I think it's the more we can become resilient to the, we all get the, your client has canceled their Optavia account, shows up in the emails like, oh, are you kidding me? It happens. It just honestly happens more frequently the bigger your business is. So it's not that the disappointments aren't there. It's what do you do with it and how do you learn from it? And, and try to use that to propel you again with that kind of the obstacle being the way. What have you learned about yourself, Meg, as an entrepreneur versus like an employee?
That's a really great question. I think I've learned that it's hard. It's a whole lot harder to be an entrepreneur than to go to a job every day, even though the time is so much less. I mean, think about it. You're not driving anywhere. You're not brushing your teeth if you don't want to, or like whatever. I mean, I promise I brushed my teeth. I know my mom's on, so whatever. But yeah, I think, there's nobody there that's pushing you. You've got to push yourself, and you've got to show up when you don't want to. And, I logged into Optavia Connect today, and it's sad. I go from a couple of days ago, I was on a high. I felt like my business was like, it was like a record month. It was a record month for me, and I felt incredible. And I log in, and now it's March 4th, and it's sad. And so you have two choices. I have two choices. You have two choices. Like, you can either live in that sadness and be like, oh, this is hard. Or like, I can say, you know what? Like, I can do something about this. What can I do? How can I make this better? How can I make this not sad? How can I bring in some more clients? What can I do today to get me to where I want to be tomorrow? Just like we tell our clients, one thing I've learned, okay, raise your hand if you feel like being a client on this program, it's 95% mental, because that's where I'm at. Like, I think for all of my clients, it's such a mind game. So I'll tell you, as a coach, I think if coaching clients, it's 98% mental. It's all in my mind. And I'll tell you even more than that, coaching coaches is 99.9% in our heads, right? Like, each level we go, it's more a mental game. And so I have got to find a way to push through that, even when it's hard, because, it is hard. And I think you need people that can help push you. Like Courtney Colcord is on every call. She's on the sponsoring boot camp. She's talking to people about coaching. She texted me that her Optavia Connect was not great today. And we were like, what are we going to do about it? Like, together, let's push each other forward and be better. Right. So I think handling the hard and not just giving up. I know, like, one thing we all struggle with is comparing ourselves to people. Like I don't have a business like Dee. So, like, clearly, like, I must not be doing something right. But, like, that's not fair. Like, we each come in with our own passion and we each buy our own kits, and, like, we're all different, right? We do things differently, and that's okay. I'm not going to be Dee, but I'm glad Dee's Dee, right? And so I can look at her and either be like, I can't be like Dee, so I might as well give up. Or I can be like, man, I really want to learn from her because I'd love to grow to global one day. So I think that's hard for me as somebody who struggles with being a perfectionist and who struggles with failing. And I mean, it touches all, and I have chills talking about it because it touches all these prickly areas in my heart of where I don't feel like I'm good enough. But that's where I know that I'm close to the good stuff.
I wish, I feel like I need you to say that 5 times. When it's the really uncomfortable and it's making you, that's where you need to go with your business. And I think what's helped, Meg, and maybe you can talk a little bit, we talked a little bit today about goal setting, and goal setting can be scary, especially for those of us that don't like to fail. And I can totally relate. But I will say, I think what's been pulling you, it's like the structural tension that Dr. A talked about. When every time you got your next glimpse of what you wanted, and we kind of took it in glimpse, like, okay, first step is senior coach, then it's senior coach, and then I'd say, okay, well, next is this. And each time you got your vision, how did you work that? Because you had your vision, you got your goal, and then is that what pulled you through the hard stuff?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. And, like, full disclosure, Dee today was helping me realize I need a map and helping me do my map, which is now done. And I will forever now do a map at the beginning of every month. So that was my bad. And that's one of the reasons why I need to be on the call with Dee every week, because she is awesome at getting me to do things like that. But anyways, so yeah, I think being able to write it down, something happens in my mind when I write it down. It makes it so much more likely to come true. There's power in naming it versus, like, I might want to be ED one day, or I might want to be global one day, but, like, saying, no, like, this is a goal that I'm actively working towards. What am I going to do today to get me towards that goal? And so a big thing that I have on my desk that I always talk about is having this note card that has my list of 5 people every month. I try to help 5 people. If I help more than 5 people, I flip that note card around and I keep going. If I help more, I get another note card. But because I have those lines, I'm, like, thinking about those people I want to help. It's propelling me forward every time I sit at my desk and thinking, who needs what we have.
And we talked about that, how I shared with you, like, we can even take that card deeper. Like, I have mine, it's how many new coaches this month, how many, whatever. I mean, whether you do it on a map or a card, it's just about having that direction and that goal. And so the conversation with Meg today was not about why we should, right? Like, shoulding doesn't do anything for somebody. You should do something. But we talked about the value and what was in it for her and why that process would work. Because to create that tension in order to go through the harder stuff. So, well, thank you. We've got a couple minutes. I'd love the opportunity if anybody wants to unmute and ask myself or Meg a question. We'd love to, if you came here, there was something you were hoping to hear. One thing that struck me that Meg said when she said, like, oh, I don't have a business like Dee's, or I can't be like Dee, so I won't try. I remember one time, Debbie, do you remember this, when you and I had a conversation and you said something like, well, one day, Dee, one day I'll be able to talk like you or say it like you do. And I said, no, we don't want that. We want Debbie to say it with more experience and confidence, and only the way that Debbie can deliver. And each one of you guys brings something different to this and can connect and make a difference in somebody's life that none of us else on here can. So be true to you. I spent a lot of wasted energy trying to be like other people, or what I thought it took to be that. And when I started trying to being more authentic, and I have to work on it all the time, but being more authentic and true to who I am, that's where the magic starts to happen, because we're willing to face our own vulnerabilities and use that to propel us forward. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. Before we sign off, just one last chance. Anybody? Oh, okay. We got two. We got Zena and Courtney. Great.
Okay. Thank you, Meg. Thank you. Thank you. I won't be like you. I won't be like Dee, definitely, with my own thing. But Meg, so when you're talking to your clients about referrals, what do you say?
Yeah. So I've learned what not to say, which is like nothing, right? I didn't say anything. And I had a client tell me, somebody asked him what he did, and he told him that he was starving himself. And I was like, okay, that's something that I'm doing wrong right there. So I tell them, one of the questions I ask is, hey, so who's noticing? Like, okay, you've lost 10 pounds or you're feeling great. Tell me who's noticing. And then I tell them, when I was going through the program and people were asking me what I was doing, some of the things that I would tell them was, I'm working with a health coach and I dialed in my nutrition. So kind of feeding them those words, and not saying I'm eating these packets of food, because that's not going to bring somebody right to understand all of Optavia and what it can do for them. So giving them the key phrases that they want to use, that's going to help them connect to me as the health coach. And then also that's a great opportunity to let them know if you have a referral credit, because I've got clients that are all about that referral credit, and that's great for me. So let them know that, so they can be working towards that $25 or $5 or whatever it is that you want to give them.
Thanks.
And posturing is really important. Like, even saying it like, making it sound like most clients refer, like, listen, people are going to be asking, so let me just go ahead and tell you what to say. And I do, this is up to you. It's an individual business decision, but I'll say, I do give $25 referral credit. And a lot of my clients, they're getting $50, $75 a month off their orders. So I just say that, you know what I mean? So it's your posturing and how you say it. So then they're like, oh, okay, that's what we do. All right, very good. Courtney.
Hey, this one's for you, Dee. What do you do when you log into your Optavia account and it's not looking the way that you want it to look like? What does pressing in look like for you? Only because I just asked Meg this earlier, so I already know her answer. What does that look like for you to press in and really, I know how to hit the grind in the health way. I know how to tighten things up there. How do you tighten it up in a business way?
That's a really interesting question. So what that looks like is really having the honest conversation with myself. How many people have I talked to? How many people have I talked to? How many conversations have I had? If my business is not being reflected, if it's not showing up the way I want it to, how many, for me, for the most part, usually what I'm looking to do is develop more health coaches. So if it's not, how many times did I share the Coach Explorer ops calls did I have this week? And I have to be honest with myself and actually maybe make some of those calls of those people who are on my list or my scared list, or follow up, or go back through my binder and think, okay, who have I talked to about coaching that I need to follow up with my current clients, but actually do the work, or maybe it's uncomfortable, call the people I'm scared of calling. And get the momentum going again. Same thing with clients. If the client side is down, I might be a little more intentional with my social media post. Maybe if there's a certain market, or if it's summer coming, I might do more of that to try to see if I could stimulate something. But that's just one basic layer. Throwing it on Facebook is not going to generate much. So it's got to be I found the 3-3-3. I recently re-implemented that and did it consistently. And man, it wasn't even like it came from those specific conversations I have with people, but because I was in that consistent action, things started popping out of other places.
Okay.
And that it always usually works that way.
Thank you.
This is why we're here. We love just a kind of round table. So I'm willing to stay on if you guys want to.
D, how you had said that, I remember that conversation and how I said I wanted to tap into my inner D, and like, what would D say in this situation? I still do it though. Like I I think it's a good thing to think about like another coach, another person that you admire, or someone that you think, okay, that person always says good stuff. Like when you're talking to somebody and you're thinking to yourself, okay, how do I respond to this question? And that's what I do. I call it tapping into my inner D. I'm like, okay, all right. And then like the wisdom comes out and I'm like, hey, Debbie came up with that, So I still think it's really good to have somebody that you work with and that you admire, that you can kind of like bring them in, and like, like I'm conjuring my D. So I do think it's a great tool to be able to use you as a mentor and everybody else. Like I talked to somebody recently and I heard Julie coming out of my mouth, so it's awesome that we're working with everybody is helping me grow who I am and how I operate. And so it is a fantastic part of this program and part of what we get with coaching.
Yeah, that's how I learned. Meg had mentioned about attending events, etc. I attend everything, and I love to learn and hear from other people, because certain people will resonate with you, or they'll phrase something or a statement the way you've never heard it before, and you're like, I could totally see myself saying it that way, or that makes more sense to me. I could definitely feel comfortable saying it that way. So I think that is why this collaboration works. And that's why even on these weekly calls, I try to have different speakers. I don't want you always just be hearing me. I want you to hear from other leaders on our team so that you can hear those different voices. And again, at the end of the day, honestly, and I'm learning this like late in Optavia life, but at the end of the day, it's not so much even the words we say to people. And I think that sometimes we get caught up in saying the right thing and wonder, what if I phrased it different? Would it make a difference? But at the end of the day, what it really, really our business comes to, we're in the business of transforming people's lives. So this is about human connection with people. They need to know that we care about them, that we hear them, and then that we're here to serve them with a solution. And it's almost hard to say the wrong words if we think about it that way. Sometimes I think I can easily do it. I go into on mode. I want to say the right thing. I'm looking for my in. I'm looking, and what do they need? And but that's not going to get you that far. And people are going to sense that, and it's hard to go deep with people that way. And we're really, when we talk about transformation, we need to have that ability to connect and go deeper with people. So it's something that I'm personally working on and hoping to transfer those skills to you guys as well. So I hope that helps a little bit too. All right. Thanks, guys. One more?
I have one thing to share.
Sure.
I don't know if this was from boot camp or where I heard it, but I love this. I've used it with another group of mine. And it just goes with everything we're doing. If you follow because we're not recreating anything, we're just redoing it, So if you follow the recipe, the cake comes out. Do you get it?
I love that.
I love it. You follow the recipe and the cake comes out.
Maybe we need to change it to the soft bake comes out,
Yeah.
Watch our phrasing. But that's exactly right. If you follow, and usually if there's a breakdown in our coaching business, it's similar to the breakdown in a client's physical results. There's a breakdown in the process, and maybe we're not doing something consistently or whatever. So great analogy. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks, Meg, for taking time, and thanks for being vulnerable and sharing with us. And I hope it was helpful to you guys. Have a fabulous week. It's a great time. Do your map, get that structural tension, and have your conversation with your coach this week. Thanks, everybody.